Good morning and thank you and welcome. Um, if you've managed to get to this, um, what you would call a conclusion of this series of uncovering God, you've done really well. I want to firstly say that this next few minutes will be about the components of God, consciousness and I, and where this arises from, because this is the life of God, you see. What was God before life, you see? This may be interesting for science, it may be interesting for um, spiritual seekers or religion, or it may just be a fable to you, you know, because two things, this speaker is not actually taking ownership of these words, being an uneducated, unknowledgeable, unspiritual, unreligious, not very interesting person. Um, these words arise from experience and from the wisdom of this experience. So if you understand God, if you totally experience this consciousness, this I, in its fullest, you'll know that whatever I say is not my words. Whatever anyone says is not their words. Even Einstein's theory is a component or a thought or an action or a energy of this mind of God. So individually we can take ownership and responsibilities and all that stuff, but God is a whole thing. In our life of responsibilities of being kind and compassionate, that is a natural element of our being. The other side of anger, control, status, all these sins, you'll understand this at the end of this video. Also, I use the word God because it's my language, you see, where I come from, where I was born, my education, my religion when I was a child, only recognizes this totality that we're going to discover today as God. In other religions, in other areas, in other places in the world, you'll have different names like Ganesh, Vishnu, Atman, Brahman, Absolute, Source, Father, Mother. All these are the same. You see, there's only one God. We all know that. We can pretend that there are other individual ones belonging to me and belonging to my religion and all that stuff, but they may be subcontractors of this total God, you see, this total thing. So let's try and conclude this. And let's call it the final, the single pulse, the one pulse. What this experience revealed is this: before God took life, or gave life, as it said in the Bible, everything was light. And light meaning no substance, no color. We can visualize it like light, like the sunlight, like daylight. That's okay. But it was light. There was nothing. There was no pulse. There was just peace, tranquility, and pure, infinite, boundless light. And other religions call it emptiness, self. But my experience is these things come after this light. And in the Bible, God says, let there be light. So God was alive before this light. So what was God if everything was light? Is God the light? God is a substance within the light that is translucent, mirror-like. If you can imagine now this light with a mirror in the core of it. Now this mirror cannot be seen because everything is light. Even the mirror is light. But this mirror is all pure. And in our religious places we call it heaven, paradise. Everything was Still, everything was beautiful, everything was loving. But there was no liver of life. There was no liver in paradise. There was no heavenly bodies in paradise. There was only God, this mirror, this incredible mirror that existed. And it was all for it. This light was all owned by it. We can call this light a celestial gem if you want. So everything that is existence in every universe and every galaxy is within this celestial gem, is enshrouded with light. And this, I don't know how long this went on. It's probably timeless. But this mirror decided, I don't know what, if it decided, if it had a mind, if it was alive, because everything else, it had no pulse, it was just that tranquil, lucid, transparent love, pure, in the core of this light. And something happened, something stirred. Many that have experienced this have come up with different theories and different ways. God got a wee bit devilish. I've had enough of this. I want some excitement. God sacrificed itself to give life to itself in other ways through this that we call universal worlds and bodies and experience and movement. There are many ways that science, maybe it says a Big Bang, which is quite feasible as well, because if everything is light, the Big Bang caused a darkness. It caused a darkness. So God gave life to darkness by destroying itself, destroying the heaven and the paradise and breaking it up. That's what we do in our world. We break everything up. We break religions up. We break employment names up. We give so many broken down elements to different parts of the body, different parts of the car. We break things up. We copy, we replicate God in that way. This God broke itself up, this heavenly, singular, whole self of incredible love and light within itself. Only that would this mirror experience this light, this love, this livingness, this world. None of us would have been here if God had not broken itself up. So God gave life to darkness so that light and darkness could be separate, and therefore we can have distance, we can have shadow, we can have color, we can have space, we can have nature, we can have planets, we can have stars, we can have all these things that are based on dark and light. But the unfortunate thing, it's fortunate for us because this happened in one moment. So God died in one pulse. Boom! It died. The whole God died to give life to itself in a different way, in a different form, in a different experience. Unselfish, you would call it. Completely unselfish. It's like you owning a mansion and it's the incredible size of a country and there's only you living in it. And you know there could be thousands and thousands of different qualities of forms living in it. But you don't care. It's for me. And then one day you say, I want to share this mansion. I want to give everyone a space in this mansion. And that's kindness and compassion. You see, that's how surrendering, how giving God is. To sacrifice this paradisial heavenly light that itself owned and lived under. Nothing else existed. No planets, nothing. No universes, no blackness, nothing. Just light, incredible light. But we all know that when darkness arises, darkness comes in many forms. That dark, greedy, sinful, powerful, evil ways. And God obviously did not expect this. Didn't expects I give, they take, and they're grateful. This discovery is very religious, and most religions will understand the that what holds it together. The pliability of it. It's like, yes, you're nearly there, Mr. Speaker. You're nearly there. In our religion, you're nearly there. This darkness, let's go back. This mirror, this one pulse, in this boom, it created reflections. It created tremors, boom, 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 because it's so colossal. And in this tremors, it created forms and pulse and energy and waves and winds. And this is our experience. This is the experience of this planet. Now, what we really are concerned about as a human race is this tremor, this one pulse that U.G. Krishnamurti actually confirms. A wise man, our U.G., even though he's much disliked by gurus or by spiritualists or religious people. Very, very, very wise in his discoveries. Same shock. U.G.'s shock, same shock as this one. That's the experience of this darkness, going back to that place of light, which no one can return to whilst in a body, whilst not fulfilling the role of what this God says, fulfill the role. Enjoy your life and be grateful for everything in your life and surrender and give up before you can return. So this creates this pulse. Now, the thing that human beings, we worry about, how long will this pulse go on? How long will this tremor go on? Is it infinite? Of course not. Of course not. So let's look at today's world. One thing that this God is absolutely terrified of losing so many wise and learned beings to this darkness. Many speakers now are making predictions about mental health, about suicide and depression and darkness and suffering. And this darkness is dying out. Before this tremor or this pulse finishes, transcends into what God can do next. So many the darkness will disappear. The darkness will disappear. And that's quite a hopeful statement for some who are feeling distressed and depressed and suffering and whatever. So you must hang on. And the way out is not to be enlightened or to be awakened, is to be kind and be compassionate and be grateful. A very simple thing to do. And trust and accept, not in these words, that something inside you is full of light. And this light is bursting to come out. But it cannot really fully reveal itself. Because when this tremor finishes, God is going to celebrate. And those that are full of light will return to that infinite paradisial light. The others will just disappear. It's not about selecting the good ones and the bad ones. It's about you selecting your life, your ways. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm just an average guy who stumbled upon something incredible and is unable, really, because of its conditioned educational upbringing, to use fancy words that science understands, that philosophers understand, that psychologists understand. This is not a biological talk. That's another thing, because we, as human beings, in our body state, in our psychological state, in our brain state, are just ways to try and straighten us up and put us back into the path of balanced living. Balanced living is within the light, within that light. There's no darkness in my life. The darkness appears in others' lives. So to remove the darkness in others' lives, you have to be kind and compassionate to them. It's a very simple religious way. This is probably mundane, boring stuff for many who already know this. God is incredibly loving, incredibly, because it gave you life. It gave you the opportunity to be here. Sacrificed its heaven and its paradise. And it's going to have to bring it back, because it's seeing the idea that it had in the first place, whether it was devilish, whether it was for fun, whether it was a surrendering, whether it was an accident, whether it was a big bang. Maybe it was maybe a mistake, meaning we're letting God down. We're letting ourselves down. We're letting nature down. We're letting life down. We're letting consciousness down. Thank you for and believe you me, even in an apparent awakened, enlightened state, you still have to be kind and compassionate. Initially to yourself, realize that you are the light. We are all infinite light. Well, let's project it well. Let's mirror, reflect, deflect light through love, through kindness, through compassion, through giving, through surrendering, through sacrificing, through a gratitude for your life. So thank you for quite a long one, this one. Maybe you dropped off halfway through the first five, the first four. But that's the final one, and that's the story of God. We are the story of God. God is its own story. God creates the story, lives the story, and we are reflections of the story. How is the story going? I'm not an egoistic, mind-based person about the story about me being a poor man, or a rich man, or a selfish man, or a greedy man. The story is, I can only do what it wants to do. Within itself, it has to find some sort of recognition of God. Recognition of I. You don't have to see the totality. Recognize I. Recognize consciousness. Recognize the words of Christ, through me, I is the way. And then, when you discover this, what the saints call Sat-Chit Ananda state of bliss and love and incredible non-dual space in a world of what you think is your own, you're experiencing as God. You experience the whole world as your own. Not materialistically, but this whole spatial environment, this life, this universe as your own. And that's what God's initial experience was before it sacrificed to give it to you. And then you can give openly, you can give everything away. Not again materialistic things, these are just objects, these are just, what do you call, a mind-based way to stop you, to keep you in the darkness. Because many love the darkness. Many love the darkness. Many like the darkness. Many like not being compassionate and kind, and many like being sinful and powerful and greedy and all that stuff. There's nothing you can do for them. Let them be. Don't fight against those that are already dark. Help the ones around you. Help the ones around you that are just edging their way to the light. And give them a shove in. Thank you so much for listening. And if you want, you can you can share or whatever, or download or clip or whatever. Maybe it's I'm not the most entertaining and intellectual guy, but that's the way it is. That's the way life is. The light is still shining for you, and I love you very much within this light. The light of God. Namaste.